He also has a very nice voice. Sorry? You also have a very nice voice. You should sing a duet together. You've been hiding his talent?
She's laughing while pranam, so you can understand that.
Chanting really well. Namaste, namaste everyone. Very warm welcome to Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Moji Ji ki Jai. Today we look at chapter 16. So after the broadcast ended yesterday, we just read a little bit ahead. Some of us were here and we really enjoyed this chapter 16, and I feel like all of you who've been in the Ashtavakra so far, even for a few sessions, would really enjoy this one a lot. And if it's a little confusing, or if it's your first session and you're watching later on YouTube and it's a bit confusing, then you can always ask your question when you come to Satsang. So this chapter is chapter 16, called Special Instruction. So Ashtavakra said, you can recite and discuss scripture all you want, but until you drop everything, you will never know truth. You can recite and discuss scripture all you want, but until you drop everything, you will never know truth. You can enjoy and work and meditate, but you will still yearn for that which is beyond all experience and in which all desires are extinguished. You can enjoy and work and meditate, but you will still yearn for that which is beyond all experience, in which all desires are extinguished. Everyone is miserable because they exert constant effort. Everyone is miserable because they exert constant effort, but no one understands this. A right mind can become unshackled upon hearing this one instruction. Everyone is miserable because they exert constant effort, but no one understands this. A right mind can become unshackled upon hearing this one instruction. Unshackled. Shackled. The master idler. The master idler to whom even blinking is a bother. The master idler to whom even blinking is a bother is happy, but he is the only one. The master idler, you know, the one who is remaining idle. The master idler to whom even blinking is a bother is happy, but he is the only one. When the mind is free of opposites, like this is done and this is yet undone. When the mind is free of opposites, like this is done and this is yet undone, one becomes indifferent to merit, wealth, pleasure, and liberation. One becomes indifferent to merit, wealth, pleasure, and liberation. One who abhors sense objects avoids them. One who abhors sense objects avoids them. One who desires them becomes ensnared. One who neither abhors nor desires is neither detached nor attached. So one who abhors sense objects avoids them. One who desires them becomes ensnared. One who neither abhors nor desires is neither detached nor attached. As long as there is desire, which is the absence of discrimination, there will be attachment and non-attachment. This is the cause of the world. As long as there is desire, which is the absence of discrimination, there will be attachment and non-attachment. This is the cause of the world. Indulgence creates attachment. Aversion creates abstinence. Like a child, a sage is free of both and thus lives on as a child. Indulgence creates attachment. Aversion creates abstinence. Like a child, a sage is free of both and thus lives on as a child. One who is attached to the world thinks renouncing it will relieve his misery. One who is attached to the world thinks renouncing it will relieve his misery. One who is attached to nothing is free. One who is attached to nothing is free and does not feel miserable, even in the world. One who claims liberation as his own, one who claims liberation as his own, as an attainment of a person, is neither enlightened nor a seeker. He suffers his own misery. One who claims liberation as his own, as an attainment of a person, is neither enlightened nor a seeker. He suffers his own misery. Though Hara Hari and the lotus born Brahma himself instruct you, though Hara Hari and the lotus born Brahma himself instruct you, you will know nothing. Though Hara Hari and the lotus born Brahma himself instruct you, until you know nothing, until you know nothing, you will never know self. What a chapter. So these 11 verses actually are called special instructions. What makes them special? We can say at some level that they are not for everyone. In the sense that what is being spoken about here, if you've really not been in the previous 15 chapters, then, and you jump in straight to this chapter, special instruction, it can seem like, what's going on here? But this one, if you enjoyed the first 15 chapters, then this chapter is actually encapsulate a lot of what has been shared earlier, encapsulate most of the clues, and actually takes them even further. Because he says to go beyond desire and non-desire, to go beyond even the seeker identity and also the enlightened one identity. So it takes us deeper into emptying of all the concepts that we could have picked up. So let's go verse by verse. So Ashtavakra said, you can recite and discuss scripture all you want, but until you drop everything, you will never know truth. So I was saying that this is very meta because the scripture itself contains this. You see? So what is it saying? It's saying that the purpose of satsang, the purpose of these scriptures, the essence of them is to bring us to our emptiness, to bring us to our not knowing, a mental not knowing. Because the discovery that all of these mental conclusions that we have drawn, especially the main premise of all of these mental conclusions, that there is a limited entity me, that is the doer, desirer, experiencer of this world, this one is not true. You see? And we see that all these mental conclusions have been in service to this identity. And as we drop all of this, we find that existence still is here. The sage might say, shining brightly, unattached, unadulterated, unconditioned, your true shining presence. So you might read as much scripture and talk about knowledge for lifetime after lifetime, but if it is not leading you to this emptiness, to this openness, to this surrender, to this acceptance, then it is as good as any other worldly knowledge. maybe even worse. So we can no longer remain gatherer of concepts. I was saying yesterday that one man or woman is in prison. They feel like they were always in this prison. They were born here and they will die here. But something inside them calls out to them and said, no, this is not your truth. There's a deeper truth about you which will free you from this prison. And this one makes an inner prayer saying, please show me this deeper truth because I want to be free from this prison. Anything that frees me. And many solutions come to him. And actually, he feels or she feels more and more imprisoned. Then one day he hears this intuitive voice, the voice of the inner Sadguru, which is telling him, look, look really, where is this prison? Where are these limitations which seem to constrict you? Can you find the one that is imprisoned? This one actually looks and finds that there is no prison, there is no limitation. It has just been a fallacy. There is only unlimited presence here. This is the recognition that he is coming to, that all of you are coming to in Satsang. The discovery that all the concepts that I picked up, all the conditions about myself that were picked up, just made this imaginary prison around me. So this moment of recognition happens for all of you every day in Satsang when you see what is the reality of what you are. Then this one, for an instant, feels that they are free, he is free. And yet, he imagines again these prison bars and plays the game of freeing himself or herself from them. This is how satsang is functioning. In your intuitive presence, to come to this simple recognition of what is not difficult. You see now that you are free. This play of imprisoning yourself again is the play of doubt, is the play of judgment, is the play of wanting mental confirmation, the play of expectation. And when we buy into these things, then we imagine ourselves imprisoned again as an object. who has this desire, these expectations, even out of freedom. So then the game of satsang goes on like this. And I was saying this yesterday that it can go on like this for a few minutes, for a few hours, for weeks, months, years, centuries, lifetimes. There is no end to this. Because the bars are imagined and consciousness has complete freedom to imagine for as long as it likes. Time is not really a concern for consciousness. Then this game is played. So this is the simple game of coming to the recognition of what you are. All the pointers are for that. And the game of being done with your but then. So we play this but, but, but game for as long as you like. Because that is also the play of consciousness. And then come to the simple seeing that I have always been only this. I'm not becoming a better self. Therefore, freedom must have only been the real discovery of what I have always been, what is already here. So, satsang then is just the simple game of coming to this recognition of what truly is and dealing with all the tricks of the mind after that. Whatever the but might be, know that it is your pretend limitation. It has no real, tangible power. It only seems to derive its power from your belief, your interest, your attention. And many times, it is our spiritual concepts, it is our scriptural concepts that also play as if they are the pretend bars of this pretend prison. Neither the person who is in prison, you can show me, nor the prison in which he is in prison, you can show me. That's why the sage is very beautifully said that that which points you to the reality is the only knowledge which is worthwhile. And that which points you to your illusory nature, to your pretend make believe facade of being an individual entity, is ignorance. That is the difference between Vidya and Avidya. Knowledge and ignorance is simple like this. You can enjoy and work and meditate, but you will still yearn for that which is beyond all experience, in which all desires are extinguished. So, Enjoy means play as the one who's individual entity who is experiencing the world, tasting the fruits of this world. Work from the idea of individual doership, that I must do this or I must do that. And he also said meditate, which means that from the meditator perspective, you can take on the spiritual seeker perspective. And all these three perspectives might be there, but somewhere inside you, you will still yearn for your unlimited self. Yearn for that which is beyond all experience. We are so blessed actually that Guruji and our beautiful masters, Bhagwan and Maharaj, and so many others, who have demystified these words for us. Otherwise, we are still yearn for that which is beyond all experience. See, what will we make out of it? Still yearn for that which is beyond all experience would sound like, but I can never experience it. Then there's no point, it's pointless. Wrong interpretations can come. But because we have been guided to this non-phenomenal seeing, non-phenomenal experience, you see, that is what is called beyond all experience. That which is beyond all experience. What is it here now for you that is not an object of experience, that is beyond objective attributes, beyond color, shape, and size? Is there something? Is there something? Or it's not a thing, of course. I have to use language, so I say these. This question to ask is useful either way. Even if you feel like it is nothing or you haven't found it, then look. And if you see that, yes, of course, that which witnesses all phenomena itself is not phenomena. That reality for which everything else is an appearance itself is not an appearance. You are not an appearance. Or are you? And if you are an appearance, then who are you appearing to? You are coming and going in relation to what? But you will still yearn for that which is beyond all experience and in which all desires are extinguished. Once you discover your unchanging, non phenomenal reality, can you truly, truly, in your heart, thirst for something which is phenomenal? If you realize that this appearance is just an aspect of you, whatever the appearance might be, but you see, the ground on which this appearance stands on is the non phenomenal self, the reality of you, that awareness. Not thirsting for anything. So desire loses its bite because you find that you are already all there is. In fact, beyond all there is. Now, don't get confused by this to mean that in the play, in your external expression, you will not express that I have no desire, therefore I cannot want anything to eat, or something like that. It's not like that. In your worldly expression, as this body, as this expression, all these desires, all these expressions, preferences can still be played out. But what you will notice is that the feverishness, the feeling that I can suffer if I don't have this, that goes away. This idea of psychological suffering because of the lack of something, that goes away. You can still go to a restaurant and order pasta if you prefer pasta over pizza. It is not that you're you're uh, you're falling out of Ashtavakra's benchmark for freedom or something like that. Is that only when you feel like, okay, if I don't have this pasta, then so much life is miserable. I'm taking a example. You can replace pizza with whatever, and you will quickly find that whatever, if you really look, if I don't have this, then life is not complete. Then I am not happy. Then there is a lack of something. You see, and you can fill in the blanks with anything, including freedom. You see, don't leave out the seeker from this. Even that must be looked at and dropped away. You'll still yearn for that. Why is he guaranteeing that you will still yearn for that? Because that is the truth. It is not subject to time. But somewhere, at some point, even if there are many in this world, because you might read this and say, but many are enjoying and working and meditating and they're just fine. The sage said, you could do all of these things, but you will still yearn for that. Because the design of this play is like this, that ultimately in the play also we come to the truth of what we are. This sense of complete satisfaction, of desirelessness, of feverishness, let's put it that way. Feverishness, feverish, lessness only comes when the truth is discovered that I am not something limited. As long as we carry a notion of limitation somewhere, desire is bound to creep up on you at one point or the other. Because your intuitive nature is telling you that you are unlimited, you see. Okay, this is a very subtle point. If there is still some belief in your limitation, then desire is bound to creep up on you because somewhere it is known that you are not just that limitation. So the mind's version of getting over that limitation is to acquire more, you see, so that it can seem larger than what it believes itself to be. We will not find that satisfaction in that way through acquisition of more and more objects. Nobody comes to this satisfaction of a sage. Who sees that full completion is here. It's very, very beautiful. I read this very beautiful story of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharishi just the other day. When you put on one of these lights, I feel it will be better for them. That's okay. Yeah, so I read this very nice story where when Bhagwan was in the body in Tiruvannamalai, there were some rumors about him being an avatar of some god. I forget the god, so I don't want to misname that. There were some rumors. So one who came to him from a traditional and spiritual background, they came to him and said, "Is it true what they say that you are an avatar of this?" And Bhagwan, as was his nature, which I realized later, used to not answer 90% of the questions. So he just sat in silence. That was the answer, actually. Then the questioner again says, "But answer us, it's important. Are you the avatar of this?" So Bhagwan again kept quiet. And this one got very agitated, insistent, "No, no, you must answer." So Bhagwan said, and it said in the story like that, very quietly, with no, as if it's a special answer, nothing like that. Very quietly said, "An avatar is just an aspect of consciousness. A guru is the entirety of consciousness." Such a beautiful story. That which is your simple recognition of this unconditioned being, unconditioned presence, is this consciousness, which is playing as Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. All the aspects of consciousness, the creator, preserver, and destroyer, are all the function of your being, of your existence itself. That's why the great Indian sage, Saint Kabir, said that if Krishna and my master are both standing together on the road, whom should I bow down to first? I bow down at my master's feet because it is only his light which brings Krishna alive for me. So this consciousness, which is the source of all this manifest world, including the aspects, all the aspects which then humanity has looked at reverentially as various aspects and given them names and labels, all of this arise from consciousness itself and go back into consciousness itself. So that you are, then if you are the source of all of this, what desire can you have? What sense of lack can you still believe about yourself? Desire only means that I am limited and something else will give me some completion, some sense of completeness. Everyone is miserable because they exert constant effort. But no one understands this. A right mind can become unshackled upon hearing this one instruction. What should happen in reaction to this? Hearing this is just like, ah, you know, ah. You drop this heavy burden of doership. Is it? What would your life be if there was no need for this kind of effort, which involved the idea that you have to do something? That's why when we go through this simple exercise to see that this world, which includes this body, exists here and is moving effortlessly. Everything is happening effortlessly. Your existing here now, your presence here now is effortless. Are you working hard to be? We are only working hard to be something, to become something. But being is prior to becoming. And you are aware of your presence. Whether your mind is as yet giving you this certificate or not doesn't matter. You know that you exist. Nobody doesn't know that they exist. And that is also effortless. So if the existence of this world is effortless, which includes all the actions and movements that have come through this body also, if your existence here is effortless, and this awareness of your existence is just completely effortless and natural, then this idea of personal effort, individual effort must be what? Must be ignorance. Because what did we say? That which points us to the truth about what we are is knowledge. And that which reinforces the false idea about what I am is ignorance. Everyone is miserable because they exert constant effort, but no one understands this. Now, if you try to explain this mostly to people as it happens in Satsang also initially when you come to Satsang, most of you, as you have come, you ask me this question. But Ananta, but Father, doesn't this mean that I will become irresponsible and I will become either irresponsible or lazy or a murderer or something like that? Is it? These worst case scenarios. Does this mean that I'll just lie in bed all day? Indifferent, lethargic, indifferent, loss of vitality, vegetative. All these things can be the natural fears which come. Huh? Idler is coming. Yeah. Yeah. And when you hear the master idler, especially those whose conditioning has been about a lot of effort and making something out of life, it can feel like. I don't want to be a master idle. Idle. What is it? Idle mind is a devil's workshop. We've heard all this. Idle is not a good word for most. So we'll come to that. So this, because you feel that, even if you come to the seeing that yes, the world is moving on its own. God is moving the world. But the mind has this trump card up its sleeve which says, in the sensations which you call the world, let's separate a group of sensations, which is your body. Let's separate that out because that is you. That is your responsibility. God cannot take care of this. God's will operates only on the rest of it. But this group of sensations, which we call the body and sometimes the mind, then that is out of this. And this is your responsibility, my friend. You cannot give it up. This is escapism, the mind will come and say. Many times in Satsang. This is some sort of escapism. So actually this lack of investigation about what we truly are is that escapism. So presuming that in the group of apparent sensations, only a set of sensations makes up me and everything else is not me. While at the same time finding no contradiction in saying, oh, but God is everywhere, is the sort of mental escapism. So when we come to this seeing that everything is one, then you see that this one is moving. If we were to investigate the next time something is spoken from this mouth, that body which seems to be you, investigate the words which are spoken or any movement of that and see that it is just happen, it's just a happening. And you will see that just like the clouds which are moving in the sky, the movement of the oceans and rivers, and in this sky of this entire apparent appearance, his body is a tiny cloud. If a cloud was given a mind, if a cloud was given a mind and it said, see, this is your boundary, and you have to go and get that other stuff so you become bigger. Yeah, that is desire. Let's see how far we can stretch this metaphor. Now you're like a cloud. Now you are the sky, but suppose now you had a mind which was convincing you that you are one cloud. And it was saying that you are separate from the rest of it, you are just this one cloud. Then as a cloud, it is telling you what to do. Why? Because you don't want to be this tiny, measly cloud. You want to become a happier cloud, a bigger cloud. So what do? Just take those water particles which have just evaporated, go to them fast. And this feeling can be there that the cloud is doing something that makes a difference in the overall movement. So you can feel like the cloud decided to move towards those water particles and to try and get bigger. And sometimes it comes and merges with those, sometimes it misses them. That is the play of desire. Like the movement has to happen as the movement has to happen. But sometimes something is acquired, sometimes something is not acquired. This guilt or this pride, yeah, I did it, or oh no, I didn't work hard enough. It's just like that. As if the cloud is saying, oh, I did not move fast enough to merge with those water particles and become bigger. So this duality means you're not the sky, you are something separate, just one cloud amongst all of this. All the sensations are there. Now, I'm really stretching it now. Suppose that the perceptual centrality, the way that you are experiencing the rest of the sky was from the perspective, from the center of the cloud. See? So that is there. And also this voice is telling you that you are this cloud, you are this cloud. You see? So the sky is very, it's very possible because the perceptual, the way that you witness this creation seems like, oh, I'm contained within this head. You see? And there's a voice also which is saying, oh, I'm just this. So it has made it convincing. The sky itself has made this convincing that it would believe that it is a cloud. So then what do we do in satsang? We say, you consider your boundaries to be these boundaries of this cloud. But notice that this entire boundary of the cloud is contained within you. When I ask you to check the boundaries of your body and where they are contained, this is the discovery which is happening to you. That I have considered this to be my boundary, but actually all of this is contained within myself. If you were not the container and you were the contained, how would you find the boundaries within yourself? Shall I repeat? If you were not the container, but you were the contained, could you discover that the boundaries were within yourself? You would not have any idea about the boundary because it is outside of you. What happens with you and the body? You find that the visuals are happening inside me, the sensations are happening within me. I can experience the sensations within my being. Nothing is outside of me. And the space in which they are perceived is the same space in which everything else is perceived. The birds in the sky, the traffic on the road, all of this is contained in the same space, which we call the space of being or the space of perception or the space of experience. All of this is part of your being. In this way, you're finding your unlimited sky nature. So everything is contained within you. Let it go. Good you came. So when are you going to sing next time when you come? Experience it
What is
first.
calling?
Huh?
What is
He sang it in Ashtavakra in the Shiva temple.
Oh, yes.
Sahaja, it was so good.
Sadhya, she was very good. That was it.
Very good. Next time, if we have some time, I'll show you some photos. Now, the master idler, to whom even blinking is a bother, is happy, but he is the only one. What does this mean? Definitely does not mean that you blink 30 times a minute or something. You blink very often, we don't realize. But so it doesn't become a bother in that way that the blinking is happening, so it's a bother. If I have to be the blinker, imagine if I have to time my blinking. If I say every 3 seconds, please blink for the rest of your life. See? But you can hand this over to God. God knows when to blink. See? The design of this place, the body's design or whatever you call it, knows. I don't have to blink. I don't have to breathe. I don't have to beat my heart. Now, imagine the kind of doership it would bring if you picked up an idea about something to do with even blinking. If you picked up the idea that it is healthy for your eyes if you blink precisely every 10 seconds, your life will become a living hell very quickly. This is what doership does to us. I'm understanding now what the sage is saying when he says everyone is miserable because they exert constant effort It is like we are holding this life up. Without our holding it up, this life will just disintegrate or something will happen. See, we cannot hold this life up. That which considers itself to be holding this life up is not even here, does not even exist in a phenomenal way also. See? So the sage has taken this metaphorical example for the same reason. If I was told that I have to blink, who would bother? Imagine that if I was told that I have to run this life. Then there are two perspectives left, isn't it? The greater perspective is that I am not this individual entity, the imprisoned, what did the sage say? Bewildered, burdened beast. I am not this one. I am what the sage is saying. I am the shoreless ocean in which the arcs of the universe, they come and go. Or even simpler, I am the solitary witness of all there is. What is more in line with your recognition, with your intuitive insight? When the mind is free of opposites, like this is done and this is yet undone, one becomes indifferent to merit, wealth, pleasure, and liberation. Now, very subtle messages have been put in this. The cleanup is cleaning up everything. What is the first word? Merit. What have we always been told? At least in India, it's a very popular concept, isn't it? That our job is to do as much good karma as possible. So that is counted as a sign of merit. You get more and more merit by doing more and more good. Now we are even outgrowing this concept, saying that there is no doer here. This body is in service to consciousness itself, and consciousness is moving it exactly the way it chooses to. So this idea of gaining more and more merit so that I can enjoy the fruits of this merit, which is also a never-ending cycle, is kept aside. Wealth, I've spoken about this. Security, money, wealth. This is one of the considerations of our limited perception about ourselves. Pleasure. So often we've spoken about this oscillation between pain and pleasure being the state of the body, and us making a conclusion about ourselves based on the state of the body or the sensations experienced. So then life can seem to be just about avoidance of pain and rushing towards pleasure. And then he also put in liberation. When the mind is free of opposites, like this is done and this is yet undone. If you don't have a concept, one becomes indifferent to merit, wealth, pleasure, and liberation. Why is this so important? Because this is the arch nemesis of satsang, the checker guy. This is done, this is not done, you are free, you're 90% free, you're 70% free. This checker guy is keeping track of your liberation, whether something is done or not. You can be free of this. You can just let it come and go. One who abhors, means is averse to, abhors sense objects, avoids them. One who desires them becomes ensnared. One who neither abhors nor desires is neither detached nor attached. This is very, very important because so much of spirituality, especially traditional spirituality, seems to tell us that we must be free from our attachments and we must be detached. What is more important is to see what you are. Why? Because when you see what you are, you will realize that you are already beyond attachment and detachment. So he says that which we abhor then become like an avoidance. We want to run away from that. Oh, please, God, make sure this doesn't happen in my life. So it's an avoidance of that. That which we desire, then we are caught in that, feverish about it, ensnared by it. A lot of tendencies, vasanas, conditions get created just because we hear that we must be free from conditions. Right? If you hear you must be free from your lust, then the condition will be there that I must become free of my lust. And every time lust appears, then you will say to yourself, no, this is not good. I am not good enough yet. I cannot be free because I am not free from lust. So on top of the lust, we added another 4 conditions. That's why Bhagwan's way, Guruji's way is the best. Find out who you are. Who is it that you are referring to as yourself? Are you also subject to conditions? Are you also an appearance? Then in this, desire aversion doesn't apply to me. Doership, non-doership doesn't apply to me. One who neither abhors nor desires is neither detached nor attached. You are beyond all of this. As long as there is desire, which is the absence of discrimination, there will be attachment and non-attachment. This is the cause of the world. What does this mean? As long as there is desire, which is the absence of discrimination. How can discrimination help with desire? What is discrimination? To be able to, okay, discrimination is not the way it is usually used in the world, okay? We're not encouraging any sort of discrimination. Like we're saying discriminate between what is real and what is unreal. In Sanskrit, it is called viveka. It's like a positive discrimination. So you know that what is changing and what is unchanging, what is truth and what is false, what is real and what is not real. So why does he say that desire is the absence of discrimination? Because the minute you see what is real, you will find that which is already complete. It can have no lack or desire. So desire is only a product, as I call it, the 3 Ds: duality, desire, and doership. They're all a product of the absence of discrimination, confusing the impermanent to be true and to be in denial of the unchanging. That which is coming and going, an appearance, you want to hang on to that forever. That is desire. And that which is already here and complete and unchanging, you see, that we don't look at. That is what the sage means by absence of discrimination. As long as there is this absence of discrimination, there will be attachment and non-attachment. This play of conditions and this play of wanting to be rid of conditions, of desires and of aversions. This is the cause of the world. So we talked about why this is the cause of the world. So we talked about 2 levels of how the term desire is used. Now he's talking about this worldly play. The idea that there is a me and there is a world comes only when we have this lack of true insight. When we have this absence of true discrimination between what is true and what is false. So we call this play what? A play of duality. Me and the world. There's always a me in respect to something else. Me and my experience. So this duality is a product of false ideas, concepts. Indulgence creates attachment. Aversion creates abstinence. Like a child, the sage is free of both and thus lives on as a child. Free of all these opposites: indulgence, aversion, attachment, non-attachment, doership, non-doership. Free of all these positions. What are you? Just like a child, enjoying whatever is in the play, for the play that it is. Free of guilt and pride, free of grievances and regret. A child, before he learns how to pick up all these concepts, is free of these. So this is the theme, isn't it? We picked up all of these and now we are dropping all of these because they have brought only limitation and suffering into our lives. That's why so commonly everyone says, I wish I could go back to my life as a child. We're so happy as children, you say. Why? Because we are not buying all these grievances and regrets, guilt and pride. So much life is lived fresh. One who is attached to the world thinks renouncing it will relieve his misery. So even this position of renouncing the world is actually a symptom of our attachment to it. Understood? So if you have to take a position with regard to something, that means it still means something to you. Even when they take the position that I'm renouncing the world, that means it's still my attachment which is playing out as a symptom that I have to do something, get rid of it. One who is attached to nothing is free. He doesn't need to renounce. So this is the power of this discovery, this recognition. You transcend this level of play as an individual entity and you come to the substratum. Once you see that I am the substratum, then do you have to attach or detach to anything? Nothing. It is only when you consider yourself to be part of the play, an object within the play, do all these concepts still apply. So he says, one who is attached to nothing is free and does not feel miserable even in the world. So then, doesn't have to renounce the world, doesn't have to pick up the saffron robes and walk away from house and family. The world is there, it can play. But there is this seeing that I am not that which can be attached or unattached. I don't need to accept or to renounce. I said earlier, acceptance and renunciation don't apply to me. This is very, very important. He who claims liberation as his own, as an attainment of a person, is neither enlightened nor a seeker. He suffers his own misery. This is what Guruji says, there is no such thing as an enlightened person. It's a paradox in terms. So if you can feel like I am an enlightened person, then what is that? I am now a special sort of person. This is just the voice of arrogance, the voice of intellectual understanding or spiritual ego can play like this. But I have now picked up, what did he say right in the beginning? You can read the best scriptures, but till you come to this point of knowing nothing, you will still suffer. And this is how it plays out. It can come that I've been to 100 satsangs and I know all the concepts that are shared there. I am free, which can also be one of the concepts. If it relies on the concept, I am free, for you to be free. If your enlightenment is dependent on this belief about yourself, then it is just this mind playing as a spiritual ego. And you are empty of even these concepts. That's why the sage clarified it really well. Who claims liberation as his own, as an attainment of a person, that I, as an individual entity, got something special, is neither enlightened nor a seeker. Enlightenment means what? To come to this light of pure presence, unshackled with conditions. So, because they're still holding on to concepts and conditions, we cannot call them liberated. And they're also no longer the seeker because they are buying the concept that they are free. So, there's a special kind of misery reserved for these people. He suffers his own misery. And we've seen that. We've seen that in our lives also. How the spiritual, especially the spiritual ego, can make even the play of the most humble seeker, how it can convert them into this arrogant, egoistic, spiritual uh, ego, which is so desperate to be right, so desperate to be accepted as the voice of the truth. So quick to say that they have gone beyond even their masters. All of this is the play of consciousness as a person who is playing as if they are an enlightened person. That's why Guruji says, if you feel like you don't, if you haven't got it, keep coming to Satsang. But definitely if you feel that you have got it, keep coming to Satsang. The Satsang will keep working on that ego, keep chopping it from all sides and directions till you're completely empty of any condition about yourself, except some momentary conditions once in a while. Sometimes we take even our most pure insights and use them as some sort of a claim for our specialness. Many times it happens in satsang, I'm asking someone, so where is this coming from? And you can smell that arrogance and you say, so where is this coming from? No, Ananta, no, no. This is from my inside. Trust me, trust me. Why so much holding on? One that you found yourself to be is free from all of this proclamation and claiming. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Your fragrance itself will bring me to your feet. He who claims liberation as his own is as an attainment of a person is neither enlightened nor a seeker. He suffers his own misery. Though Hara, Hari, or the lotus born Brahma himself. So, what is Hara, Hari? Hara must be Shiva, Hari must be Vishnu, and Brahma is Brahma. So, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, they might themselves come and instruct you. Until you know nothing, you will never know self. Is it contradictory? No. Because there are two types of knowing which are being spoken about. So you know nothing until you don't come empty, open, and naked. Till you are empty of mental conditions. It is seen that the true recognition of This awareness, this knowingness itself seems elusive, seems not to be found. That's why I say that one of my favorite words is open. Why? Because it is a beautiful pointer. And if you as consciousness play in this way, that you apply this pointer of open with integrity, you will see that these conditions have no power over you. Remain open. Allow everything to come and go. Allow your attention also to go wherever it wants if you like. Don't hold on to anything at all. Even if it feels a bit strange, a bit wobbly, don't worry. You don't need the concept, no matter how high the concept might be. Let that also come and go. Just remain in your simple openness. No judgments, no doubts, no conclusions, no proclamations, no yesterday, no tomorrow. No speculation, no projection. No yes or no. No concept about anything at all. Even about the self. Don't know anything about anything. Come to your childlike nature, childlike innocence. Become an infant. Now you are free from this prison that never was. And everything now that you pick up will become part of the make-believe, pretend prison again. every moment this is true. You are free. This is the play of consciousness. Though Hara, Hari, or the lotus-born Brahma himself instruct you, until you know nothing, you will never know self. So with this we come to the end of chapter 16, or special instruction. Special instruction also because we cannot hold on to any specialness after this. Special instruction to rid ourselves of specialness. I just want to end by saying that many times as we let go of all our concepts, it can feel a bit uncomfortable, it can feel a bit fearful. Not always. For some of you, it might be completely neutral. Some of you, some joy might be coming. Everything is okay. But for those of you for whom it feels like it's uncomfortable, like you're having to give up on something real, as if your life is ending or death is coming, don't worry about all of these conclusions or interpretations. Really, a big part of my function is this, to help you through this wobbly path. If you come with integrity and not with a lot of knowing and specialness, if you come with the innocence of a child with some fear, very quickly we can look together and get over it. But if you come filled with the intent to achieve something from the perspective of a person again, then we can keep playing ping pong for a long time. And a part of the function is also that I feel. How long will you play this ping pong? One day you get tired of it. You're seeing that true value is in your presence. There is no value in a concept by itself. The only valuable concepts are those which are bringing you to your true presence, to your openness, to your emptiness. May the Sadguru's grace continue to bless us all in his beautiful light. May my Father's grace be ever present. May all the words that come through this mouth be his alone. May any specialness that arises here be blown away in his holy presence. May everyone who comes to Satsang discover the fruit of the pointings in their own heart. Let there be peace, let there be peace, let there be peace. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you all so much for joining in Satsang today. Sadguru Shri Muji Ji ki Jai.
Sadguru Shri Ananta Ji ki Jai.